Hello, dear students. I hope you are doing well in this weekend and full of energy. Start the next weekend of work. As I told you, on Tuesday and on Wednesday, we review some more exercises of aggregate planning topic to be dominated and to know it perfectly, this topic. But as you saw, I sent you an email an hour ago, and in this video, I just make this video to solve and explain one of these exercises. Here you see exercise 5 to show you how this one works. And please, as I asked you in the email, please review all the exercises. You have all the solutions of these exercises. Be prepared for Tuesday that we do the class. If you come prepared to the class, we can do more exercises together and finish this topic perfectly. So let's review the first exercise, this exercise 5 that we review in this video. The exercise, as I told you, the majority of them are the combination of the strategies as we reviewed. They called mixed strategies. Let's review. Plan production for the next year. The demand forecast is in spring is 20,000 units, summer 10,000, fall 15,000, and winter 18,000. So as you see, we should answer the level of the demand that we have for each of these seasons that you see in your exercise. So at the beginning of spring, you have 70 workers and 1,000 units in inventory. So what is the meaning of that? For example, as you see, the forecast for spring is 20,000, okay? And we already have 1,000 units of products, as you see here, 1,000 of unit of product in hand as an inventory. So how many units we need to produce? 19,000 instead of 20,000, okay? And another information, as you see, is saying that at the beginning of spring, you have 70 workers, okay? So let's review the next lines. If the problem says anything else about this number of workers, or are we allowed to have more workers, it means hiring more workers or not. So as you see, the union contract specifies that you may lay off workers only once a year. Okay, so the firing of the workers is allowed only once a year, that is at the beginning of summer. It means that when we finish spring, we are allowed to lay off or fire our workers. Also, you may hire new workers only at the end of summer to begin regular work in the fall. Okay, so as you see, at the end of summer, if we have a lack of workers for the fall, for the autumn, we are allowed to hire some workers, but only at the end of summer. Okay, so as you see, the policies and the strategies that we reviewed before, they are just happening in this exercise for some specific periods. The number of workers laid off at the beginning of summer and the number hired at the end of summer should result in planned production levels for summer and fall that equal the demand forecast for summer and fall respectively, for sure. It means that if we hire or fire the workers, they should let us to answer and satisfy the demand forecast 100%. Okay, so we hire or fire to have that same level of production equal as the demand. So if demand exceeds supply, use overtime in spring only. So what is the meaning of this? It means that, for example, I have 20,000 units of production, but with my regular number of workers, okay, I can only produce whatever, for example, 14,000. So here it says in spring only, okay, we are allowed to use the overtime workers, okay, not regular workers, overtime workers. For what? For this rest. As you remember, I told you as an example, we can produce with regular workers 14,000 units of products, but for the 6,000 more, we need to apply overtime workers. So which means that back orders could occur in winter. You remember what I told you? I told you that back order is when we have not enough production, applying the different strategies to answer our forecasts. Okay, and while because winter is coming before our spring, this back order may happen. In the future, we review in our exercise what is the meaning of this back order. So you are given these costs. Hiring cost $100 per new worker. Layoff cost $200 per worker laid off. Holding cost, holding the inventory 20 per unit quarter. Okay, so it means that for each of the products that we carry from one quarter, one season to other season, we need to pay $20. Back order cost is 8 per unit. It means that that lack of production will be penalized, okay, here is kind of penalty. This back order cost will be penalized by $8 per unit. Straight or regular time labor is $10, while overtime is $15 per hour. Obviously, we pay more money to our workers when they work out of the regular time. So the last line, productivity is 0.5 units per worker hour. What is the meaning of that? It means that for producing 1 unit of a product, we need 2 hours because every hour we produce only 0.5 units. Okay, so if we want one complete product, we need 2 hours, and the company works 8 hours per day during the 50 days per quarter. So every quarter has 50 days, and every day 8 hours of work. What it asks us, based on the different costs that we see in our example, and based on the different conditions that we see here, we need to find the total cost of the problem. Always, guys, in these types of problems, they ask you the total cost of the production. So let's review together. In the exam and in the exercises that you do, you should prepare a table something like this. You need to put all the exercises, sorry, all the exercises given to you, okay, in this type of table. Let me change the color. So, very good. As the exercise tells us, the demand of spring is 20,000 units. So I should write the demand forecast of spring is 20,000 units. Okay, let me change the color. It's not that good. I think this one is better. Perfect. So, and we can write all of these demands here: 10,000, 15,000, and 18,000. But attention, as problem says, we have beginning inventory of 1,000 units in spring. Okay, and 1,000 units of spring as a beginning inventory. So the beginning inventory in spring, here we write it, that is 1,000 units. So pay attention, guys. At this moment, you shouldn't complete this part. Why? Because imagine we are in the production plant. We have spring, and then we go to summer, then we go to fall, then we go to winter. Okay, so I mean, you need to complete the table vertically instead of horizontally. Okay, just this table gives you the total information that you have, but we review one by one together. Okay, to this end, if I have a forecast of 20,000 units and the beginning inventory of 1,000 units, how many units should I produce? Of course, it is 19,000 units. And from the other side, attention, from the other side, I have in my explanation that productivity is 0.5 units per worker hour. What is the meaning of that? As I told you, for producing one complete unit of production, we need uh, 2 hours to complete. It means that for producing 19,000 units, okay, of course, we need 38,000 hours worker for our production. Okay, guys? So, what else? In the exercise says the regular workforce for our problem in spring is 70 units. And as you saw, it doesn't give the permission to us to hire or fire the workers. But it says the overtime workers, let me find it. Where is overtime? You may hide the number of, where is it? Aha. Overtime in spring only is permitted. Okay, so let's calculate how many products can we produce with this 70 units of 70 workers. Okay, in our sorry, in our spring period. So for the production of spring, easily we need to calculate. As you see, it's 14,000. But how is 14,000? 70 workers, okay? They work. Let me change this one to have something smaller. Where is the black one? The black one. To produce 70, this one doesn't work well. Come on, why we have this? Okay, no problem. Let's continue with the same marker. I write it here. I'm calculating the production for the spring for the regular number of workers that we have. 70 workers, okay, multiply by 0.5 is the productivity we want to calculate, multiply by how many working days? 50 working days. Okay. Uh, and every working days is 8 hours. So I calculate 70 multiplied by 0.5 multiplied by 50 multiplied by 8. It gives me, if you calculate this one, it gives me 14,000 units of production. What is the meaning of that? It means that with the regular number of workers that we have them equal to 70, the production that we have is 14,000 units. But you see, guys, here the production required is 19,000. Okay, is 19,000 of production. What should we do? We should produce 5,000 units of our production during the overtime period. Okay, that in the future we'll see what are the costs that we pay for this period. With these two production, 14,000 and 5,000, we can produce totally 19,000, and with the beginning inventory that we had 1,000, okay, we can answer totally the need of 20,000 to 20,000 units of production of spring. So as you see here, we finish with zero inventory. The ending inventory is zero. As well, we don't have any back order because we answered and satisfied the demand 100% with this production. Of course, there was no workers hired and no workers laid off. Why? Because the problem limits us, okay, and restricts us here with no hiring or firing and only overtime. Okay, guys, let's go to our next quarter. So in our next quarter, as we see, the total for demand, the forecast of demand is 10,000 units. So because we don't have any ending inventory here, of course, we don't have any beginning because the ending inventory of spring is equal to beginning inventory of summer. When we don't have this one, we don't have any beginning inventory in summer. To this end, to answer this one, we need to produce 10,000 units of goods or products. Okay, so again, as we know, the productivity is 0.5 worker hour. Okay, so the production hours required is 20,000. But if I continue, okay, if I continue with 70 workers here, okay, if I continue with 70 workers, what I produce will be 14,000. You remember, we calculated 70 multiplied by 0.5 multiplied by 50 multiplied by 8. You remember, this one gave us 14,000, okay? But here, what we need, we only need the production of 10,000 units, okay? So as the problem gives us this permission to fire or lay off some of our workers, okay, we need to understand with how many workers we can produce these 10,000 units, okay? So easily we can calculate the number of workers. Imagine, for example, I put workforce, we don't know what is that, multiply by 50, okay, multiply by 8, multiply by 0.5 should be equal to 10,000. Okay, so obviously we need to find this workforce easily calculating 10,000, sorry, is this one is 10,000. 10,000 divided by 5 multiplied by 8 multiplied by 0.5. It means that divided by 20. So easily I can calculate the workforce that I need for summer is 50 units. The one that you see here in this part. Okay, let me clean this part. But finishing our spring, how many workers do I have? 70. And as the problem says, let me see, where is it? As the problem, let me clean this part. As the problem says, let me check it. At the beginning of the summer, layoff or fire is permitted. So we are at the beginning of summer. Okay, we can fire how many units of workers? 20 units of workers. So let me clean this part. Perfect. With 50 units of workers, we can answer the regular production of 10,000. And as you see, I just listed here the 20 workers that we say goodbye for summer. Okay, and I produce 10,000, and while my forecast was 10,000. Again, there is no ending inventory and no ending back orders. Pay attention, ending inventory and ending back orders are totally in two sides of uh, one spectrum. Okay, ending inventory means extra, while ending back order means lack of production or lack of inventory. Okay, let's start our fall. Let's see what happens in our fall. Okay, in fall, we have 15,000 of demand. So obviously we need to produce 15,000 of units, and with the productivity we know that it should be 30,000. Okay, why? Because as we discussed, the productivity while is 0.5 worker hour, the total production time is double by the total production, that is 30,000. So again, I need to calculate how many workers do I need in this part. Imagine we don't have this one, and you should find it obviously. Again, I say workforce for fall multiply by 0.5 multiply by 8 hours multiply by multiply by 50 is equal to uh, 15,000. Okay, so if I calculate this one is 15,000 divided, if you remember, is 200. Okay, so 15,000 divided by 200 gives me 75 workers needed for this period. So we should check our exercise that we are allowed to hire workers. Why? Because at the end of summer we finish with 15 50 workers, while we need 75. Okay, of course, if we are not allowed, we need to do overtime, for example, to cover this lack of production. But let's check our problem if it gives us this permission or no. We should find a sentence that tells us about the hiring, the possible hiring strategy. Here, also you may hire new workers only at the end of summer to begin regular work in the fall. So, okay, it's giving us a hint. We are at the end of summer to start our fall. So, it gives us this permission to contract and hire 25 more workers. Why? Because we finished with 50 and we calculated that we need 75. So, we need to hire 25 workers that I listed here. Okay, so as I told you, if the problem doesn't give us this permission, okay, we needed to try to solve this problem, okay, this lack with overtime, for example, or if subcontracting was load, we need to cover this one with subcontracting. It totally depends on the problem that what it says. Okay, so up to here we are at the end of fall. Again, we produced 15,000 to answer 15,000, so we don't have any ending inventory and nothing of back order, okay, at this quarter. So now we should go to our winter. In winter, guys, in winter we have a forecast of 18,000 for this season. So for sure, we need to produce 18,000 of products. So as we reviewed before, in this exercise, we see that there is no explanation of the permission of hiring or firing or using overtime in winter. Let's see how many workers, imagine again, we don't have this one. Let's see how many workers do we need for our winter to produce this 18,000 of workers. Okay, so again, you need to calculate the workforce that you need, multiply by 50, multiply by 0.5, multiply by 8 should be 18,000. Okay, so it means that 18,000 divided by 200 gives me here, if workforce gives me 90. Okay, so it means that to answer producing this 18,000 units of production, we need 90 workers, but we finished our fall with 75, and based on the problem, we are not allowed to hire more workers, or we are not allowed to use overtime. So for sure, if I continue with 75, of course, we'll have a lack of production. As we talked and as we reviewed before, the name of this lack is back order. Obviously, with this 75, as we saw before, we can produce only 15,000 of the work of the production. Okay, let me check something. Okay, we are producing 15,000, but as you see here, guys, we need 18,000. It means that there are 3,000 of production that we couldn't answer. And what is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? It means that we just answered 15,000 of the production. And imagine the next spring, okay, the next spring we start the for the forecast, whatever it is, the beginning inventory is minus 3,000. What is the meaning of that? It means that not only we have nothing in our hand, but also we need to answer 3,000 of need for winter in this spring. For example, imagine if let me write it better. Imagine that if our demand is the same and we start with minus 3,000, okay, the beginning inventory, we need to produce 23,000, okay, to answer the forecast of this month and this season, and to cover this lack, this back order from winter. Okay, but at this moment we don't go to the next spring or the next year. We are given these 3 seasons, and we calculated all of the items happened in this case. So let's check what are the costs, okay, what are the costs that are happening in each of these seasons to calculate the total cost. So as you see here, guys, the straight time of the this production, okay, the straight time of this production, because here we have regular production and we have where is it, we have overtime production. Okay, so as you see here, guys, we pay for the straight time $280,000, okay, while for the overtime we pay overtime hours 10,000, okay, multiply by 15 gives us $115,000, and if the regular production is 14,000, the regular production hours will be 28,000. Why? Because of the productivity that we are given in this example, that multiplying by 10 gives us $280. Besides, do we have any inventory, ending inventory, to move to the other season? No. So for this reason, we don't pay any inventory. Do we have any back order? No. Did we hire or fire some workers? No and no. So to this end, and with this conclusion, the total cost that happens in spring is the combination and is the summation of straight time hours and overtime hours, that is $430,000. Okay, let's check what happens in summers. In summer we have regular production, we don't have any overtime, okay, but we lay off our workers and we don't have any ending inventory and any ending back orders. So the regular production time hours is 20,000, while the cost is $10, 20,000 multiplied by 10 gives us $200,000. Okay, and no back order, no inventory, but the layoff cost is $4,000. Why? Because we laid off 20 workers and the layoff cost is here per worker layoff is $200. So 200 multiplied by 20 gives us this 4,000. So in summer we should pay totally 2,000 for hundred to $204,000. Okay, so the same happens for fall with one difference. What is the difference? In this one, we hired our workforce, so we need to pay the cost of hiring. So let's check. A hiring cost is 100,000 per new worker. So if I have 25 multiplied by 100, it gives me 2,500. And besides regular production, we don't have any other costs based on this part of the table that we saw. So the total cost for a fall is 300 to $2,500. And let's check the last season of this problem, winter. So what are the costs that happen here, guys? Straight time, obviously, that we have, okay? That is a straight time or regular time or normal time. All of these names are correct. So 15,000 units of production we need. So the hours is double because of the productivity. Again, I repeat that the production time is for 30,000 units. But you remember, we found and we calculated that there are 3,000 units of the product that can be answered by the production. For this reason, we know them as the back order. So let's check our problem. The problems tells us what is this? The back order cost is $8 per unit. So when we have 3,000 units as back order, we need to pay $24,000. In total, 324,000 units for winter. So easily to calculate the total cost of this problem, we need to calculate the total of these four seasons. That finally is 1,260,500. Okay, so the other exercises are totally the same. Okay, as you see, the elements are very similar. Please review these items, okay, based on the information that they give us, okay, and on Tuesday we review them together to understand better what this topic says. Okay, with this explanation we finish this video and see you soon. Have a good night. Bye bye.